At 1648 hours on the 26th of December, 1943, HMS Belfast fires star shell. The illumination round arcs through the Arctic darkness. It bursts 4 miles ahead. The white light descends slowly on its parachute. Below the flare, Scharnhorst materializes. The German battleship is brilliantly illuminated. Her guns are trained fore and aft. She is not at action stations. She does not expect battle. She is fleeing south toward Norway at 29 knots. She believes she has escaped. At 1650, HMS Duke of York opens fire. Range 12,000 yards. 10 14-inch guns fire simultaneously. The broadside thunders across the Arctic Ocean. Flight time 8 seconds. The shells bracket Scharnhorst. 1 hits. The forward turret is disabled. 3 11-inch guns silenced. Scharnhorst's captain realizes the trap has closed. A British battleship blocks his escape. He is caught between Belfast's cruisers behind him and Duke of York ahead. The Arctic storm that concealed his approach now conceals his executioners. The radar that he does not have tracks his every move. The battle that will end German surface power in the Atlantic has begun. Scharnhorst was Nazi Germany's most successful capital ship. 32,100 long tons standard displacement. 38,100 long tons full load. 771 feet long. 98 feet beam. 27 feet draft. 9 11-inch guns in 3 triple turrets. 12 5.9-inch secondary guns. 14 4.1-inch anti-aircraft guns. 16 1.5-inch anti-aircraft guns. Armor belt 13.8 inches maximum. Deck 4 inches. Turrets 14 inches. 3 shaft-geared turbines. 160,000 shaft horsepower. Maximum speed 31 knots. Range 10,000 nautical miles at 19 knots. Crew 1,968. She was built as battlecruiser, lightly armored for her size, heavily armed, very fast. German designers called her Panzerschiff. Pocket battleship. The Versailles Treaty limited German warship construction. 10,000 tons maximum displacement. 11-inch maximum gun caliber. The Germans violated these limits. Scharnhorst displaced over 30,000 tons. But she retained 11-inch guns when other nations mounted 15 or 16-inch guns. This was deliberate. Smaller guns fired faster. Scharnhorst could engage cruisers effectively. Against battleships, she relied on speed. Run from anything she could not fight. Fight anything she could catch. This philosophy worked for 4 years. It would fail on December 26, 1943. Scharnhorst's war began November 1939. Armed merchant cruiser HMS Rawalpindi intercepted her between Iceland and Faroes. Rawalpindi was converted ocean liner. 8 6-inch guns. No armor. She engaged Scharnhorst and Gneisenau. The action lasted 14 minutes. Scharnhorst's 11-inch shells destroyed Rawalpindi. 275 British sailors died. 38 survived. It was massacre. Scharnhorst escaped into Arctic darkness. In April 1940, Scharnhorst participated in Operation Weserübung, the invasion of Norway. On June 8th, she encountered HMS Glorious, British aircraft carrier, 2 escorting destroyers. The range was 24,000 yards. Scharnhorst opened fire. 3rd salvo struck Glorious. The carrier was not expecting surface attack. Her aircraft were not spotted for launch. She could not fight back. Scharnhorst and Gneisenau closed. They pounded the carrier with 11-inch shells. Glorious burned. She sank. 1,519 men died. Destroyers Acasta and Ardent attacked. They launched torpedoes. 1 struck Scharnhorst. She was damaged but operational. Both destroyers were sunk. 1,519 British sailors died that day. Scharnhorst withdrew to Trondheim for repairs. In February 1942, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau executed the Channel Dash. They escaped from Brest through English Channel to Germany. The Royal Navy and RAF attempted to stop them. 6 Swordfish torpedo bombers attacked. All were shot down. 13 aircrew died. Capital ships cannot be stopped by obsolete biplanes. Scharnhorst reached Germany damaged by mines but operational. The humiliation stung Britain. German battleships transited the Channel. The Royal Navy could not stop them. By March 1943, Scharnhorst was based at Altafjord in northern Norway. She joined battleship Tirpitz, the Northern Task Force. Their mission was threatening Arctic convoys, supplies from Britain and United States to Soviet Union, food, weapons, aircraft, vehicles, raw materials. The convoys kept the Soviet war effort alive. The German capital ships threatened the convoys. Even if they never sailed, their presence forced massive escort requirements. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, aircraft carriers. The Royal Navy devoted enormous resources to protecting convoys from ships that rarely left port. In September 1943, British midget submarines attacked Tirpitz. Operation Source. X-craft submarines penetrated Altafjord. They placed explosive charges beneath Tirpitz. The charges detonated. Tirpitz was severely damaged. She would not return to service for months. Scharnhorst was now alone, the only German capital ship operational in Norway. She was the sole surface threat to Arctic convoys. On November 20, 1943, Admiral Bruce Fraser took command Home Fleet at Scapa Flow. 56 years old, experienced, aggressive, professional. He told his staff he would sink Scharnhorst. This was not boast. This was plan. Fraser understood the strategic situation. Scharnhorst posed threat to convoys. The threat had to be eliminated. Fraser would use convoy as bait. He would position forces to intercept. He would destroy Scharnhorst. The execution required precise coordination. It required intelligence. It required radar. Fraser had all three. On December 20th, convoy JW-55B departed Loch Ewe, Scotland. 19 merchant ships, close escort of destroyers and smaller warships. The convoy steamed north around Norway toward Murmansk. On December 22nd, German reconnaissance aircraft spotted the convoy. The aircraft shadowed them. German Naval Command received the reports. Convoy JW-55B was identified, target acquired. Fraser expected this. British intelligence monitored German communications. Bletchley Park decoded signals. Fraser knew the convoy had been spotted. He knew German reaction was likely. He positioned his forces. Rear Admiral Robert Burnett with cruisers Belfast, Norfolk, and Sheffield would provide close cover. They steamed north of the convoy. Force 1. Fraser with battleship Duke of York, cruiser Jamaica, and 4 destroyers steamed from Iceland. Force 2. Fraser positioned himself between the convoy and German bases in Norway. If Scharnhorst sorted, she would steam into trap. On Christmas Day, German Naval Command ordered Operation Ostfront. Attack convoy JW-55B. Destroy merchant ships. Disrupt Allied supply line to Soviet Union. Rear Admiral Erich Bay commanded. He hoisted his flag on Scharnhorst. 5 destroyers would escort. Z-29, Z-30, Z-33, Z-34, Z-38. The force departed Altafjord at 1900 hours, December 25th, Christmas Day. The Germans steamed northwest in darkness. Arctic winter, perpetual night, temperature below freezing, heavy seas, snow squalls, visibility near zero. These conditions favored the Germans. Or so they believed. But British intelligence tracked them. Radio intercepts confirmed Scharnhorst had sailed. Ultra-decrypt provided course and speed. Fraser received reports within hours. He adjusted Force 2's position. He steamed to intercept. Duke of York battled through Arctic storm. Waves broke over the bow. Ice formed on superstructure. Crews chipped ice continuously. The ship pitched violently. But Fraser maintained course. He was closing on Scharnhorst. The German battleship did not know. At 0340 hours, December 26th, Bay ordered his destroyers to search for the convoy. They spread into search line. They steamed northeast. Scharnhorst continued northwest alone. This was a fatal mistake. The destroyers were separated. They would not rejoin Scharnhorst. She was alone. One battleship against British forces closing from two directions. At 0840 hours, Belfast's radar detected Scharnhorst. Range 35,000 yards. Burnett ordered Force 1 to close. At 0921, Belfast spotted Scharnhorst visually. Range 13,000 yards. The German battleship was steaming southwest. She had not found the convoy. She was searching. Belfast illuminated her with searchlight. Scharnhorst was surprised. She turned southeast. She increased speed. Norfolk and Sheffield opened fire. Scharnhorst returned fire. Her 11-inch guns targeted Norfolk. Range 10,000 yards. Norfolk was hit. 1 turret disabled, 7 men killed. Scharnhorst continued southeast. She was faster than the cruisers. She pulled away. By 0955, she was out of range. Force 1 lost contact. But Scharnhorst did not escape. She turned north again. Bay wanted to complete his mission. Find the convoy. Attack merchant ships. He did not know Force 2 was approaching from the south. At 1221, Belfast regained radar contact. Range 28,000 yards. Burnett shadowed. He reported position continuously. Fraser received every report. He adjusted Duke of York's course. He was closing. At 1240, Force 1 engaged again. Range 11,000 yards. Scharnhorst turned south. She fled at high speed. This time she did not turn back. She ran for Norway. She was heading home. But she was running toward Fraser. At 1400 hours, Fraser was 70 miles south of Scharnhorst. The German battleship was steaming directly toward him at 29 knots. Duke of York steamed north at 24 knots. Closing speed 53 knots. Contact was inevitable. At 1615, Duke of York's radar detected Scharnhorst. Range 29,700 yards. Fraser ordered battle stations. His plan was working perfectly. At 1632, range closed to 29,700 yards. Fraser maneuvered for broadside fire. Duke of York was King George V class battleship. 39,000 tons. 10 14-inch guns in 2 quadruple turrets forward and 1 twin turret aft. 16 5.25-inch dual-purpose guns in 8 twin turrets. Armor belt 15 inches. Deck 6 inches. Turrets 16 inches. Maximum speed 28 knots. She was slower than Scharnhorst, but she had radar. Scharnhorst did not. She had heavier guns. Scharnhorst's 11-inch guns were outmatched by 14-inch guns. Duke of York could fire 10-gun broadsides. Scharnhorst could fire 9-gun broadsides. Duke of York had every advantage except speed. At 1648, Belfast fired Starshell. The flare illuminated Scharnhorst. She was caught unprepared. Her guns were trained fore and aft. Her crew was not at action stations. They believed they had escaped. At 1650, Duke of York opened fire. First salvo, 10 14-inch shells. Range 12,000 yards. 1 hit. The forward turret was damaged. 3 guns silenced. Scharnhorst returned fire. Her remaining 6 forward guns fired. The shells fell close to Duke of York. No hits. Scharnhorst turned east. She increased to maximum speed. She fled. Her only chance was outrunning Duke of York. Reach Norwegian coast. Get within range of Luftwaffe air cover. Survive until dawn. The running battle began. Duke of York fired continuously. 52 salvos. 352 14-inch shells. Scharnhorst maneuvered violently. She zigzagged. She changed speed. But Duke of York's radar tracked her. Every course change was detected. Every speed change was calculated. The gunnery director adjusted aim continuously. The salvos straddled Scharnhorst, hit after hit. 1 shell struck the aircraft hangar. Another hit the superstructure. Another penetrated the belt armor. Scharnhorst was being pounded. but she was pulling away. Duke of York could not match her speed. By 1820, Scharnhorst had opened range to 24,000 yards. She was escaping. Then fortune intervened. At 1824, one 14-inch shell struck Scharnhorst's #1 boiler room. The shell penetrated the side armor. It detonated inside the boiler room. Superheated steam flooded the compartment. The boilers were damaged. Steam pressure dropped. Scharnhorst's speed fell, from 29 knots to 22 knots, then to 10 knots. The engineering crews worked frantically. They isolated damaged boilers. They rerouted steam lines. By 1840, speed increased to 22 knots. But Duke of York was closing again. Fraser ordered destroyers to attack. Savage, Saumarez, Scorpion, and Norwegian Stord closed at high speed. 38 knots. They maneuvered through heavy seas. Waves broke over the bows. Spray froze on the guns. The destroyers pressed their attack. At 1900 hours, they launched torpedoes. Range close, less than 2 miles. The torpedoes ran true. 4 struck Scharnhorst, port side amidships, starboard side aft. The explosions were catastrophic. Scharnhorst's speed dropped to 5 knots. She listed to starboard. She was dying. Duke of York and Jamaica closed. Range 9,500 yards. They opened fire. Continuous salvos. Scharnhorst could not return effective fire. Her main battery had ceased. Her secondary guns fired sporadically. But she was finished. Her magazines were flooding. Her engineering spaces were flooding. Fire spread through the ship. At 1916, all main turrets ceased fire. Scharnhorst was dead in the water. She was burning. She was sinking. At 1925, Belfast fired torpedoes. Range short, 2 miles. At 1945, Scharnhorst capsized. She rolled to starboard. She sank stern first. The battle had lasted 10.5 hours. From 0921, when Belfast first engaged, to 1945, when Scharnhorst sank. 10.5 hours of continuous action. Arctic storm. Darkness. Heavy seas. Scharnhorst fought to the end. She never surrendered. She went down with guns firing. British destroyers searched for survivors. The Arctic water was 2 degrees Celsius, survival time measured in minutes. Most of Scharnhorst's crew died in the water. Only 36 men were rescued. 1,932 died. Rear Admiral Bay died. Captain Julius Hintzer died. The entire engineering crew died. The gunnery crews died. Scharnhorst took her crew with her. British casualties were minimal, 11 killed, 12 wounded. All casualties were on Norfolk during the morning action. Duke of York was hit twice. Both shells caused minor damage. One passed through the main mast without exploding. Fragments severed the main radar cable, but the radar was quickly repaired. The damage did not affect the battle. The victory was complete, total, overwhelming. The strategic consequences were immediate. Scharnhorst was the last German capital ship threatening Atlantic convoys. Tirpitz was damaged. Gneisenau was out of service. Lützow was relegated to training duties. No German battleship would threaten Allied shipping again. The Arctic convoys could proceed with reduced escort. Resources could be diverted to other theaters. The Battle of North Cape ended German surface threat in European waters. The technical factors determined the outcome. Radar was decisive. Duke of York tracked Scharnhorst continuously. In Arctic darkness with limited visibility, visual sighting was impossible. Radar provided complete tactical awareness. Scharnhorst had no radar. She was blind. When Duke of York opened fire, Scharnhorst was surprised. She did not know British battleship was nearby. This asymmetry was fatal. Intelligence mattered. Ultra-intercepts provided Fraser complete knowledge of German movements. He knew Scharnhorst had sailed. He knew her course. He knew her mission. He positioned forces to intercept. Bay sailed blind. He did not know British forces were closing. He did not know convoy was bait. He did not know he was entering trap. German Naval Command failed to provide adequate intelligence. This failure cost Scharnhorst. Training mattered. Royal Navy practiced night action. Fraser's crews were experienced. They had drilled for Arctic operations. They knew their equipment. They executed flawlessly. German crews were inexperienced. Scharnhorst had been in port for months. Her crew had minimal combat experience. When forced into unexpected battle, they fought bravely but were outmatched. Command decisions mattered. Fraser's plan was brilliant. Use convoy as bait. Position forces to intercept. Employ radar to track enemy in darkness. Execute coordinated attack with battleship, cruisers, and destroyers. The plan worked perfectly. Bay's decisions were questionable. Separating destroyers from Scharnhorst left her without escorts. Continuing mission after first engagement revealed his position. Turning south to flee led him into Fraser's trap. Better decision was returning to Norway after first contact. Scharnhorst might have escaped. The controversy emerged immediately. Was Bay to blame? German Naval Command ordered investigation. Bay had orders to attack convoy, avoid engagement with superior forces. These orders were contradictory. How could he attack convoy protected by cruisers without engaging them? How could he know battleship was present when he had no radar? Bay was criticized for poor tactics, for separating his destroyers, for continuing mission after first contact. But Bay was dead. He could not defend himself. The investigation concluded he made tactical errors. This was scapegoating. German Naval Command needed explanation for losing their last battleship. Blaming dead admiral was convenient. Admiral Fraser disagreed. After battle, he told Duke of York's officers, "Gentlemen, the battle against Scharnhorst has ended in victory for us. I hope that if any of you are ever called upon to lead a ship into action against an opponent many times superior, you will command your ship as gallantly as Scharnhorst was commanded today." This was respect for brave enemy. Bay fought with courage. His crew fought with courage. They were outmatched. They were betrayed by inadequate intelligence. They were defeated by superior technology. They were victims of strategic failure, but they fought honorably. Fraser acknowledged this. Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz drew correct conclusion. After battle, he remarked, "Surface ships are no longer able to fight without effective radar equipment." This was truth. The era of big gun battleship was ending. Radar and air power would dominate future naval warfare. Scharnhorst was last German battleship to engage enemy capital ship. Battle of North Cape was last major gun action in European waters. One more battleship action would occur. Battle of Surigao Strait in October 1944. Japanese battleships versus American battleships. Then the era ended. Aircraft carriers and submarines would decide naval battles. Battleships became obsolete. But on December 26, 1943, in Arctic darkness, battleships were still supreme. Duke of York's 14-inch guns destroyed Scharnhorst. The execution was clinical. Radar detected target. Guns fired. Target was hit. Target attempted escape. Destroyers launched torpedoes. Target was crippled. Guns fired again. Target sank. The process was methodical, inevitable. Once Fraser trapped Scharnhorst, outcome was certain. The battleship with radar defeated battleship without radar. The side with intelligence defeated side without intelligence. The Navy with training defeated Navy without adequate preparation. The Arctic storm that was supposed to protect Scharnhorst became her shroud. The darkness that was supposed to conceal her approach revealed her to radar. The speed that was supposed to save her failed when boiler room was hit. She was doomed from the moment she sailed. Fraser's trap was perfect. His execution was flawless. His victory was total. HMS Duke of York fired 352 14-inch shells. 31 salvos straddled Scharnhorst. Approximately 20 shells hit. 5.7% hit rate. This was good gunnery at night in Arctic storm. Radar fire control made it possible. Without radar, Duke of York would have been as blind as Scharnhorst. Both would have searched in darkness. Both would have fired occasional salvos at fleeting targets. The battle would have been inconclusive. With radar, battle was execution. Target acquired, target tracked, target destroyed. On December 26, 1943, the Royal Navy demonstrated what modern naval warfare required. Intelligence to find enemy, radar to track enemy, training to fight enemy, courage to close with enemy, determination to destroy enemy. Fraser had all these. Bay had courage. His crew had determination. But courage alone was insufficient. Technology wins battles. Intelligence wins battles. Training wins battles. Scharnhorst fought bravely. She died completely. That was Battle of North Cape. Ice-cold execution. Last big gun duel in European waters. The night radar killed the battleship.